nearly 75% of the adults between 25 to 33 are experiencing what's called a quarter life crisis. What do you think is really happening here?
The age group that you mentioned, 20 to 35, I think this time is full of so many transitions for us.
How does values ground us? What is the role of value system, purpose, or even gratitude to help feel a sense of movement even when things are confusing?
I use values as a compass to decide, okay, what direction should we take? Because life is full of decisions. We need to make choices. We need to decide क्या करना है.
Therapy is a tool that everyone should be
Absolutely.
seeking out help from
Yeah.
whenever they feel low or any kind of.
You acknowledge what has happened, but at the end of the day, therapy is about taking responsibility of yourself.
We ask clients, whoever is there to learn, we ask them to write all their desires. And then we use dharma as a filter. That you have all these desires, but are these good desires, bad desires?
लाइफ में भी एग्जाम्पल्स बहुत इजीली देख सकते हैं. जैसे आजकल दिल्ली में बहुत बारिश हो रही है, पीपल आर स्टक ट्रैफिक में, कोई घर पे फंसा है पानी वानी की वजह से, बट वी ऑल हैव टू गेट टू वर्क.
The difference between healthy existential questioning versus anxious rumination. Welcome back to another episode of the Art of Zen Living. I'm your host Shashank. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever thought, what am I even doing with my life? Basically, all of us at some point. Sometimes we feel this pressure to find ourselves, our identity, so early. But क्या identity एक fixed चीज़ होती है या constantly evolving? And more importantly, how do we deal with the mental and emotional weight of not knowing our identity? We're diving into identity confusion and the very real pressure to constantly feel sorted. बट क्या सेल्फ एक्सप्लोरेशन और एक्सटर्नल वैलिडेशन के बीच हम फ़र्क समझ पाते हैं? What does it mean to grow when you don't have all the answers? We'll talk about the discomfort of missed opportunities, the overuse of mental health labels, and the myth that healing means being happy all the time. We're diving into all of this with someone who holds space for such questions every day. Abhya Sharma, a clinical psychologist and an existential-humanistic therapist. Thank you for being here with us, Abhya, today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very much looking forward to this
Awesome.
conversation.
So let's start. Let's start from the basic, actually. What is finding yourself? And especially by a certain age, we feel that pressure that we need to find ourselves. Why does that pressure feel so heavy? And also, I'll just add to that question that is it just self-exploration or is it also external validation that people are seeking? So just, understanding about finding yourself and the whole pressure around it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this question itself is quite loaded.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
especially आजकल within this age demographic of like 20s to 35 to 40, we feel like, oh, we need to find ourselves and all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, just this idea of finding yourself, it sounds like there's some version of me that exists out there and like I need to get there.
Right.
Like कोई एक static version है मेरा जहाँ तक मुझे पहुँचना है. But I think life is, and like we are also much more dynamic than that. For example, when I had to come here and I was thinking what I will talk about, and I just wanted to be sure of whatever I say. But then I took a pause and I realized if we'd had this same conversation 5 years ago, I would have had different things to say. And I'm sure that if we talk about this 5 years later, I will, my knowledge and I would have evolved.
Absolutely.
So the me that exists today is also going to be me, and then there's going to be another version of me at a later point.
Correct.
So the idea is not to get to this one version of you that's stable. The idea is to just be the most real or authentic self of you that feels right in this moment.
In this current moment.
Yeah.
That's a good, good way to think about finding yourself, because sometimes we just stick with whatever we have thought about ourselves, and
Yeah.
it's very hard to change and very hard to unlearn things, once you learn about certain
Yeah.
things about yourself, your
Yeah.
personality, and you try to stick to it.
Yes.
And sometimes these are also imposed by the society, your parents and whoever not,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
what is the pressure here?
Like you said, I think a lot of this pressure is external, from the society, from the culture.
Right.
This pressure of being an ultimate, like आजकल जैसा Instagram पे भी we see this trend how to be the best version of yourself.
Correct.
That also shows like almost like this idea that कोई एक best version exist करता है जहाँ तक we need to get. So I think a lot of this pressure is external from families. We also feel like unless and until we found ourselves, we can't really enjoy our lives. Like we'll
Yeah,
start
that
living.
feeling is also there. Yeah.
We'll start living once we get
Right,
there.
right,
So
right.
time is passing by and we're trying to get there, but in reality there is no there. And like you said, that sometimes even your idea of who you are, it changes. And the idea is to accept that yes, maybe I thought this is who I was, but now as time has passed by, this is who I am now. And I think that's why it feels heavy, because this whole conflict between wanting to get there but then also realizing there is no there, that's why I think it gets really heavy. And I also feel like finding yourself, it comes with uh, this whole idea of because I want to get to that particular point and I haven't, but we still want to show that I'm there and I know who I am. So इसीलिए this whole thing also becomes more about showing that I have it all figured out, and तभी ऐसा लगता है everybody else has it figured out, but
Yeah.
I don't.
So most of the times we are not even realizing, are we doing it for ourselves?
Exactly.
Or is it just for
Like you
for
said,
the-
external
for external validation?
validation.
Interesting.
So I think that is why this thing gets so difficult and so complicated when it's just meant to be experienced and
Makes
lived
sense. Makes
as
sense.
life moves on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, there's an interesting study.
Okay.
I think in 2024, very recent study. I don't think it's from India. I think it's from Indonesia. But again, it's people, right? Still people. So the study says that nearly 75% of the adults between 25 to 33 are experiencing what's called a quarter life crisis. We have heard about midlife crisis, which starts after 35. That what am I doing? आधी जिंदगी
Yeah.
निकल गई है. But now people are starting to feel that quarter life crisis as well, and that leads to stress, anxiety, and other kinds of symptoms. So what do you think is really happening here? Can you have any thoughts from your background, from your experience? What do you think is happening here?
Sure. So the age group that you mentioned, 20 to 35,
Yeah.
I think this time is full of so many transitions for us. I mean, if you think about it, when we're young, we know we'll go to play school, then kindergarten, then primary school, middle school, high school, then college, and everything seems very structured and planned, and it's all pretty much the same. Like, we're students and we're trying to study. But the moment we're in college or after college, we now realize, okay, now there is no structure. We need to figure things out on our own. We can do anything. And that's liberating, but that's also very scary, because you can literally do anything. But what do I do? What
do I
is
do?
the right
Yeah,
thing?
Exactly.
And like we just spoke about, who am I and how do I decide which path to take?
Yeah, even if I remember my college days, I would ask people that what should be the right path for me, like seeking a
Right.
coaching sort of a thing,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
I don't know if I'm an engineering student. Also, engineering was something I wanted to do. I don't know, but that was also a path that was laid out for me. But I realized, yes, I liked it. So I thankfully I landed in the right place. But what if I didn't like it? I would have started doing engineering and then realized that, hey, now engineering is not the thing for me. But things were good for me. I'm lucky that way. But even after the college or just when finishing the college, I would be asking people that should I go for higher studies? Should I seek a job? I don't know. Should I go for MBA or do MS or do MTech? So yes, you're right. There are so many things now open to us, and suddenly you don't have someone telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Now you have to figure out yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and there's so many choices, so many
Yeah.
life paths that you can take. You can settle down, you can get married, you can choose to not get
Yeah,
married, you can
correct.
choose to not have kids.
Yes.
There's just so much. And another thing that comes to mind is I feel yesterday only I was reading this article about AI and how as like by the time we get a hold of one particular technology, the next one is already out there, which I think also is giving us this idea of time is moving very quickly. And I see this with so many of my clients within the 20 to 30 age group, that they feel like I need to just have all my answers within this age. And the moment I cross 30,
It's done. Yeah,
it's done.
we have lost the train, right? Feels
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
When in reality, life is much longer than that. So I think because this pressure also comes in, so these feelings, like you mentioned, there's some people can get anxious,
Right.
depressed, identity confusions, like who am I, what do I want to do. So I think that is where this whole idea of this crisis comes up. But even though we call it a crisis, I think this is also a moment for deeper exploration. And I truly believe that even something like anxiety or depression, they are less about कि अच्छा ये एक बीमारी है जिसको हमें solve करना है. It is also, I think, an invitation to go deeper. कि if you are feeling anxious at this moment, or if you've fallen into depression right now, what is it about your life that has caused you to get here? And can we go deeper into that? So it's not that depression is the problem. Maybe it's a symptom of a deeper thing that your inner self kind of wants to get to. So when you said that crisis, I think it's less of a breakdown and it's more like maybe a break to get deeper into
yourself.
what needs to be done.
Got it.
So yeah, that is how I would look at this entire.
Yeah, and you mentioned a great point about technology, like the pace at which technology is evolving.
Yeah.
Like currently, people feel like there's FOMO. Literally, there's FOMO. There's fear of missing out. Even social media, where you see
Yes.
a lot of things happening, a lot of things, trends coming up, going, and you feel like, yaar, ye trend miss ho gaya. Whoever is creating content, right? We feel it sometimes that when we are doing marketing
Yes.
for a company, yeah, we should not miss anything. So there's always that, and when it comes to an individual, I can feel that pressure that comes to yourself could be immense. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, but the idea is not to again get bogged down by the fact that this is happening. Just take it as a I also realized that mostly people come into therapy when they have anxiety or depression. They come in saying मुझे anxiety है, I need to do something about it. That's just the point where we start. And when they come in, that sort of opens the pathway for so much more deeper work. And then we realize anxiety wasn't the problem
Correct.
to begin with.
So basically, you have to get to the root
Yeah.
of anxiety and then solve that, right? Anxiety itself is just it's
yeah.
not just the only
It's just a manifestation of what's
Yes.
happening.
Yeah, we actually talked about it in the last episode as well. So whatever is in the software gets manifested in the hardware. So absolutely makes sense. So, and that leads me to my next question, that we all get these deep questions, and we talked a little bit about it already, that what is the point? Am I doing enough? So, how do we tell the difference between healthy existential questioning versus anxious ruminations? And also, these terms can seem heavy for the audience, so maybe we can, clarify a little bit that
Right.
what really is self-exploration, what is, what is existential questioning, and what is anxious rumination.
You're right. These terms itself seem so big.
Yeah,
and heavy.
these terms are now used so much
Yes.
that they all seem like there's some problem or
yes.
something's going on, right?
Yeah.
But what really is
Yeah.
beneath these terms and the concepts?
You're very right. I think existential, especially word सुन के ही हमें लगता है कि पता नहीं क्या
Exactly.
sad बातें होने वाली हैं
Right.
and all of that. But the word existential itself means that we're going to. It's about things that pertain to our existence. We all exist as human beings here, and there are certain things that are very much inherent to the human condition. जैसे कि again I'll say death, because everybody goes to the idea of death, but that is a very very integral part of this whole existential thought, because we're born that means that we will all die, all we are all mortal beings, and death is the ultimate truth that we all are aware of. And yet it's so difficult to actually accept that okay, we are actually going to not exist at some point. Similarly, the idea of meaning and the idea of meaninglessness, all of these things, what's the point of life and what is the meaning of it? जैसे हमें पता चलता है कि like I used to have these conversations with my friends as a child कि अगर एक दिन मरना ही है तो पॉइंट क्या है किसी भी चीज़ का?
Correct.
What's the point of doing anything?
Yeah, and sometimes we feel that we are so small when it comes to the whole universe. We
Yes.
think about stars and galaxies.
Yeah.
What is the point, right? Sometimes
Yes.
I feel that as well. कि हम in a small planet which no one else knows in the whole big universe. What are we really chasing,
Yeah.
right? So
And
yes, correct.
and like these are such common experiences
Yeah.
we all have every
Yeah.
now and then.
Yeah.
So this is what existential questioning is about. Ki we are existing here, but then there are certain experiences we're all going through inherently because of the fact that we are existing. And when we
Got it.
question those things, that is what existential questioning is.
Got it.
We'll come back to the whole sadness aspect of it and why we end up equating it with something
Got
that's
it.
very morose or whatever. But let's talk about anxious rumination. So the word rumination itself, we can understand it by, when cows ruminate. जैसे गाय हैं वो खाना जब खाते हैं
Right.
तो जो वो करते हैं that is called rumination. Like they
Got
keep
it.
chewing and chewing and chewing. It's the same thing that they keep repeating without it actually changing anything.
Correct.
So when we do that cognitively, जब हम अपने thoughts के साथ वैसा करते हैं कि एक ही चीज़ के बारे में सोचे जा रहे हैं, it's not really leading to anything, it's not solving a problem, we're just caught up in this entire thinking. That is when we call it rumination, and then that rumination brings in a lot of anxiety, and sometimes we ruminate because of anxiety as well.
So it's
that
like a
is-
chain.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that is what anxious rumination is. तो जब हम अभी existential questioning की बात कर रहे थे, so the two of us, we were like going deeper into our experiences. Oh, this is what I used to think, this is what I think now. There is, we feel insignificant, we feel there's no point.
Correct.
We explore.
Yep.
So there's more depth. We are opening up our minds, we're opening up our experiences to get better understanding of who we are, where we are, what are we doing. Rumination, it restricts because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over. It's not really leading to
Leading anywhere. It's
anything.
we are not going in depth. We are not exploring. We are just
Yeah.
fixed in those
Yes.
thoughts. Got
Yeah.
it.
And sometimes rumination itself can be a way to avoid going deeper. Because abhi jaise aapne bola, I feel so insignificant. That itself brings so much discomfort, no? Ki what am I doing everything for?
Exactly.
So that discomfort comes in. And then we work through that discomfort. We still try to find some meaning within this whole meaninglessness because we know we have to still live
Correct.
and make the most of this time that we have, irrespective of whether it matters or it doesn't matter in the larger
Interesting.
scheme of things. But when we ruminate, we avoid sitting with that discomfort, we avoid going into that, and we just sit with this thought ki theek hai, no point, why am I doing this, etc., etc. When I heard this question, I remembered when I was a student, I used to think, especially during exams, they used to make me very anxious. So at some point, I used to think there's no point in studying. I mean, we're all going to die someday.
Yeah.
What's the
Correct.
whole point? One piece of paper
Yeah.
cannot determine what's
Yes.
happening to my life. Let me just go watch some TV. So if there's no point in that, technically there's no point in watching TV as well. But I was just using that as a way to
Escape.
avoid. Yes, escape. That's the correct word.
Interesting.
So yes, sometimes rumination can be a way to escape doing things as well.
Yeah.
And that's when we maybe need to ask ourselves, are we really trying to get deeper? Or are we just trying to run away from something?
Got it. Interesting. Those such complex emotions,
Yeah.
that we all undergo, and then finding meaning outside
Yes.
of those emotions. That's really what therapy is, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, emotions, we talked about emotions. So, right now, it feels like every emotion gets a diagnosis. अभी डर लग रहा है, I don't feel like doing anything, or I feel low, I have anxiety. That leads to think that someone to think that I have anxiety. So, what do you think from a clinical lens? Are we overusing these terms? Are we overdiagnosing ourselves? What really is going on?
I think we are. I think we are doing that a lot because this is a change I've seen even in therapy room. So initially, when I started practicing, people used to come with the curiosity. I'm curious about what I don't know what this is. Can you help me understand? Now they come in with, I saw this on Instagram that I have anxiety. Can we work through it? So they already come in with this idea. ADHD, I think that is something that's being used so much.
So much.
The idea of adult ADHD. We all have reduced attention spans. We're all unable to focus on things.
Absolutely.
But somehow people think everybody has ADHD because they read these symptoms, this list somewhere, and they feel, oh, maybe I have this. So yes, I definitely feel that we are overusing these labels, and diagnosis can be very, very helpful to a lot of people. There are so many people who who are experiencing something and they're just unable to put it into words, and it feels so difficult and so complex. And once they know that, okay, this is what it is, it's depression, or maybe it's OCD, they get something to sort of hold on to. It becomes more tangible. So there's a lot of benefit to having that one thing that describes your experience. But because we're overusing it so much, I think it's just also losing the gravity that particular label carries.
Yeah, it's like we're freely using it. So
Yes.
that actually diminishes the value or
Exactly.
the seriousness that, like you mentioned, the gravity of
Yes.
that particular term itself.
Yeah. And the way you started the question, that emotions are being diagnosed.
Correct.
Almost like if I'm sad and I don't call it depression, my emotion will not be taken seriously or acknowledged. But that's not true. Your
That's not
sadness is valid and it's acknowledgeable, even if it's not depression. And just because it's depression will not change anything about, just because we're calling it depression even when it's not going to make a difference. Maybe it'll make it even harder or bigger than what it is. I also feel this the idea of mental health also, sometimes we look at it as it's about being happy and being positive all the time. तो उसमें अगर if you're sad someday, you feel, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me. अगर आज मैं घबरा रही हूँ तो maybe I should not be nervous. But that's not true. I mean, you're a human who experiences the whole spectrum of emotions. At the whole point of being and existing. So we don't have to label everything. And the more you label, the more you're taking away from the fun of being a fully functioning
Absolutely.
human
But
being.
it's so hard, these days when you have so much input from all these, like from social media, from newspapers, from everywhere. It's so hard to, forget what's going on
Yeah.
around you and just come back to that reality that theek hai, whatever is going on is fine. And then,
Yeah.
but again, then that's where therapy comes, and that's why therapy is a tool that everyone
Absolutely.
should be seeking out help from
Yeah.
whenever they feel low or any kind of
Yeah.
issues that they think they have with themselves.
Yeah. I think even with therapy, people come in thinking ki the therapist will tell me now what's happening or what I need to do. You're just making the therapist another voice out of all the voices that exist. But therapy is more about sitting with what's happening with you and going deeper within yourself, and not really holding on to what somebody else is saying. Or the therapist can guide you how to do that deeper inner work. Which is why therapy also seems difficult initially, because you're like, okay, now I have to do this on my own, so I need to
Then what am I
ask.
paying for?
That also comes in with this whole idea that somebody can be there while you grapple with these questions and can guide you through them. That is what's more important. I think we're very used to having somebody tell us what we're feeling and what we need to do. Then we forget that we also have a lot of wisdom and knowledge that we need to tap into. And
Especially about ourselves, right?
Yes, yes.
No one else can tell you better than
yourself. Yes,
Yeah.
but we are so scared of getting to that point at times.
Got it.
तब ये फाइंडिंग योर सेल्फ वाला भी आइडिया में लगता है कहीं बाहर जाना है, किसी पहाड़ पे जाके मेडिटेट करना है, तब जाके मिलेगा, या किसी खाली फील्ड में आई नीड टू गो एंड देन आई विल फाइंड माई सेल्फ. बट यू कैन फाइंड योर सेल्फ exactly where you are as well. All you need to do is go within. But that is scary because it's not always very beautiful. It's always sometimes things that are not nice. You need to confront with certain things that don't feel very pleasant. Certain choices you've made, certain responsibilities that you take about things. Um, one more thing about therapy, I feel that people misunderstand is कि therapy में जाके आप blame करते हो अपने parents को कि उनकी वजह से बहुत कुछ हुआ है. But you acknowledge what has happened, but at the end of the day, therapy is about taking responsibility of yourself. That whatever you've been through, now it's your job to make whatever you want to make of yourself.
Correct.
And that is a part of finding yourself, that yes, whatever this has happened. Now what are we doing about it? Then yahi pe wo existential questions of meaning and choice and responsibility bhi aa jate hain.
They come. Okay.
So
Yeah, that's a very nice way to look at things. Like therapy you mentioned, it's something a therapist is not there to, tell you about you. They're just there to teach you about how to ask questions, the right
Yeah.
questions to yourself,
Yeah.
and just get the right answers from yourself.
yeah.
Interesting. And then, we talked about that, when once we start doing that, we uncover maybe certain good things, certain ugly things, right? So, and then that gives us more clarity. But when we don't have clarity, how does values ground us? What is the role of value system, purpose, or even gratitude to help, feel a sense of movement, even when things are confusing? So that aspect of therapy, or the whole notion, maybe we can
Right.
talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I like the flow also, because we talked about, okay, we've understood ourselves, we've done
Right.
all of that. Now we've come to values and purpose and all of that. Let's go one by one. So when it comes to values, the way I look at it and the way I use it in my sessions as well is I use values as a compass to decide, okay, what direction should we take? Because life is full of decisions. We need to make choices, we need to decide kya karna hai. Like even the smallest of things to the biggest of things, it's all full of choices.
Correct.
But how do we make those choices? We get so caught up in making the right decision, we want to make the right choice. And हमारे दिमाग में right choice होता है जिसका result वो हो जो हम चाहते हैं कि I'm doing this because I want this
Sure.
particular result. So
Yeah.
if I get it, then it's the right decision. But the problem is we are not going to know what the result is unless and until we make that choice and
Absolutely.
we go ahead with it. So many of us get stuck there कि करूँ तो क्या करूँ? And that's where the values can help. Then what do I value? What matters to me? Should I get married or should I take a job and move to a
somewhere,
different
yeah.
city? What matters to me? Does family matter to me? Or does financial stability or career matter to me right now? What is it that I value in this moment? And then I make that decision, and then I make peace with whatever comes out of that particular decision. There's always going to be that uncertainty.
Yeah, you cannot be 100% sure about
Yes.
the-
Anything.
anything, right?
Yes.
About the results, definitely cannot be sure
Ye-
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. But decisions भी लेने ही हैं हमें
लेने हैं,
लाइफ में.
बिल्कुल.
तो हम वैल्यूज़ में टैप इन कर सकते हैं, देख सकते हैं कि इस वक्त मैं क्या वैल्यू करती हूँ या करता हूँ, एंड देन आई गो अहेड विद इट. एंड इफ नथिंग एल्स आई विल नो दैट आई वाज ट्रू टू हु आई वाज इन दैट मोमेंट, एंड आई होल्ड ऑन टू दैट even if the result isn't what I thought it was going to be like.
Interesting.
So that is how I look at the idea of values, and I try to use it for myself as well, and I try and help my clients also do the
We
same.
talked a little bit, a different concept with our last guest. We were talking about yoga nidra. So, when you start practicing yoga nidra, you need to get away from thoughts. You need to be yourself with some mantra or stuff. So Krishna, he mentioned that when we start teaching yoga nidra, we ask clients or whoever is there to learn, we ask them to write all their desires, and then we use dharma as a filter, that you have all these desires, but are these good desires, bad desires? So you need some sort of values or some sort of
Yes.
filter to direct you
Yes.
towards something, right? Otherwise, you have all kinds of desires, you have all
Yes.
kinds of goals, you have all kinds of decisions to make, but
Yeah.
you need something to guide you.
Yes.
So religion could be one thing that, for some people that might
Yes.
work, that hey,
Yeah.
as per dharma, this is good, I need to take care of my parents, so maybe this is something I need to do. Or maybe for someone, it could be that what do I really want to do by myself, right? Then you realize that, hey, this goal is for my mother, this goal is for my uncle, but what is my goal here?
Yeah.
So all these kind of filters lead you to a one point to
Yes.
focus, right, to fix your
Yeah.
goal. So
Yeah. True. True. You're
yeah, I
very
mean,
right.
it's like a framework, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
other practices also follow such certain frameworks. So it's interesting how things, work together.
Together.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like everybody is trying to get at the same point,
Yes,
but
yes,
through
yes.
different
Through different techniques.
ways. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered all our questions.
No, but I
Yeah.
think I did leave out purpose and gratitude there. So
So sure, yeah. Let's
I
talk
will
about that as well.
right.
Yes, we just covered the values.
Values.
Got it.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to purpose, I think purpose again is a very helpful tool to get through especially challenging situations. तो आई थिंक ये नीचे का ही कोट है कि ही हु हैज़ अ वाई कैन गेट थ्रू ऑलमोस्ट एनी हाउ सो द वन हु हैज़ अ पर्पस कैन गेट थ्रू एनी थिंग दैट दे आर गोइंग थ्रू एंड मतलब मैं एवरीडे लाइफ में भी एग्जांपल्स बहुत इजीली देख सकते हैं जैसे आजकल दिल्ली में बहुत बारिश हो रही है पीपल आर स्टक ट्रैफिक में कोई घर पे फंसा है पानी वानी की वजह से बट वी ऑल हैव टू गेट टू वर्क नाउ इसमें भी चॉइसेस हैं कि जाएं रहने दें कैसे जाएं तो देन वी आस्क आवरसेल्व्स कि what is the purpose of going to work? For somebody it could be because they have to feed their family, they
Correct.
need this money
Yep.
because they can't just afford to let go of it, they care about their family and so they figure out a way किसी भी तरह से धक्के खा के they will get
They will
to
get
the work because they were driven by that purpose. Somebody who doesn't have a purpose कि क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है काम पे जाएं ना जाएं then
they
will just not do
not
it.
do
So finding a purpose really helps us to stick with whatever it is that matters. एक बहुत ही ब्यूटिफुल बुक है मैन सर्च फॉर मीनिंग जो कि एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट थे विक्टर फ्रैंकल उन्होंने लिखी थी. ही वॉज अ जू इन ड्यूरिंग द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर सो ही वॉज टेकन टू द कॉन्सेंट्रेशन कैम्प एंड वहाँ पर उन्होंने ऑब्जर्व किया था कि व्हाट आर दोज थिंग्स दैट आर हेल्पिंग समबडी टू सर्वाइव दिस सिचुएशन एंड व्हाट इज़ इट I mean, what is different between people who are able to survive and those who are perishing in this whole
such an
thing?
extreme
Exactly.
environment to
Yes.
just not, basically observe that,
Yes.
right?
And वहाँ पर भी and you're so correct कि अभी हमने बारिश की बात की वो such a trivial thing
Yes.
so to speak, but even in a concentration camp in a situation like that what he found was anybody who found some meaning or purpose was able to get through it. For him the purpose was to meet his wife and have breakfast with her again. That is the thing that he kept holding on to, that I have to get through this because I want to have that breakfast with her. Unfortunately she had passed away long ago before he got out of the concentration camp and he found out, but that was still something that got him through that. So that is how powerful purpose can be. So I think every time we're all stuck we can ask ourselves ki I mean, value, does this fit in with my value system to persevere? And if I am doing that, what is the purpose? What is it that I'm doing this for? And I think that can really help us to figure out our ways and get through challenges in life. It can really make us resilient.
I think that's similar to the Japanese concept called ikigai. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's
I
also,
have,
right?
But I might not know as much.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, that you need to have a purpose. There are 5 Japanese things that you stick to, and that's what lead to a happy life, right? And that's a Japanese way of, living longer and living healthy and living happy, actually. So even I think there's an island somewhere in Japan where people have the highest life expectancy, more than 90 years average. So there was a whole documentary about it where they talked about that all these people, they have a purpose, they have a hobby. Even after at 85 years of age, 90 years of age, 95 years of age, they're still practicing that hobby. So every day they wake up, they're looking forward to that hobby. that's
Wow.
what just keep them driven and
Right.
live, on and on and on.
Just
So
that meaning, just that
yes,
purpose.
yeah,
So powerful. Yeah. And the third thing was gratitude.
gratitude.
So I think gratitude helps to really ground us. And for me, sometimes gratitude just brings about such an instant change or shift in the way I'm looking at things. And similarly, it happens with clients as well. Because there's so much that's happening, you're thinking about everything that's gone wrong. Sometimes you're just so jaded by everything that's happening, nothing is working out. पता नहीं कल क्या होगा, और पहले भी इतना कुछ has gone wrong. In that moment, if you can just find one thing that you're grateful for, that you're truly grateful for, that you're not just doing it for the sake of being grateful for, I think that can just bring in a shift and again give you the strength to keep going. Just say something to be grateful for could also be that I'm alive today, then I have an able body and I can think and I can figure my way out of this thing that I'm struggling with. That is something to be grateful for and hold on to and keep going. कई बार ग्रैटिट्यूड को भी लोग थोड़ा इनवैलिडेटिंग वे में यूज़ कर लेते हैं कि अरे तुमको दुखी होने की क्या ज़रूरत, तुम्हारे पास तो इतना कुछ है ग्रेटफुल होने के लिए. बट आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर यू आर ऑल्सो नॉट एक्नॉलेजिंग दैट इमोशन. समटाइम्स the idea is not to invalidate that I am not sad. It's not to tell yourself कि sad होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है या गुस्सा होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. But it's कि okay, right now I'm sad, but there's also so much to be grateful for and I can derive that strength from this positivity that I'm getting by being grateful and get through it. So you don't have to stop being
Yeah.
sad, but you need to remember that there's a lot that's also you have. So I
Yes.
think that's how.
So need to strike a balance, kind
Exactly.
of, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very nice way of going really deep into all the three concepts and understanding their impact. If we think it in the right way, if we try to mindfully practice even these three thoughts or these thought systems, right? It could lead to such a positive impact in the whole experience of life. Amazing. Thank you so much, Abhya, for sharing all these insights. I think our audience will be really, I think I urge all of them to just listen to this whole podcast and just understand that, just finding yourself, yes, it is important, but also should be done in a right way. It should be done in a mindful way. So thank you so much. And now there's a fun rapid round that we had
Okay.
planned. So I'll just ask you some questions and you can just answer. So a therapy myth you wish people would drop.
That if you're self-aware, then you do not need to go for therapy. I don't think self-awareness is the whole point of therapy. I think it's just
Correct.
the beginning.
Yep.
And like we've talked about, there's so much depth to it. But I think people think नहीं मेरे को पता है कि ये सब problems हैं तो क्या ज़रूरत है जाने की.
Yes.
So I think that's what I would
Makes
like to
sense.
change.
One phrase that instantly makes your clients feel seen.
I think more than phrases, when there's silence in the room, they feel more seen.
Interesting.
And that's why sometimes I also get uncomfortable that, oh, now I'm actually being seen. And then words come in that, oh, by the way, this is what I had to say. So I think silences make anybody seen more than
Very
words
interesting.
can. Yeah.
Something that brings you back to center on confusing days.
Just breathing, just focusing on my breath. I think I hold on to that a lot. Like I take a few deep breaths and I'm like, this is all that exists right now. None of this, because I'm thinking about past or future, none of it. This is all. So I
This
think
is
this guides.
Got it. What's one emotion people should stop judging so much?
Anger. Anger, I think इमोशंस कुछ नेगेटिव बोलते हैं कि ये नेगेटिव इमोशन है, पहले आप जज कर रहे हो इमोशंस को. बट आई थिंक उनमें सबसे ज़्यादा मुझे आजकल दिख रहा है कि एंगर को जजमेंट मिल रही है, स्पेसिफिकली फॉर फीमेल्स, लाइक इवन मोर फॉर देम. लाइक इफ वुमन इज गेटिंग एंग्री, वो खुद भी ज़्यादा जज करती है खुद को, एंड एवरीबडी एल्स इज ऑल्सो डूइंग दैट. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सिटिंग विद
Interesting.
आजकल.
A tiny act of gratitude that never fails.
I think paying it forward. Like somebody's done something for you, you're grateful for that, but you're so grateful that you're ready to do something nice for somebody else as well. I think that is the best.
That is the
Yeah.
best. Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much, Abhya, for being with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Oh, I did, and these questions made me think so much.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for asking me all these questions, and I hope anybody who's listening to it, they got something of
Absolutely.
value from this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you. So maybe we don't need to find ourselves as much as we need to return to quiet, to rest, to noticing what's already there beneath the noise. If this conversation made you feel seen, or maybe gave you permission to soften a little, we'd love it if you share it with someone who'd need to hear this. And if you haven't yet, do check out our earlier podcast with Krishna Prakash, where we dive deeper into practice and philosophy of conscious rest called Yoga Nidra. Until next time, take a moment to yourself and thanks for being here.